Okay, welcome to the Freedom Hustles podcast. This is episode 25. My name is John Banks over at sideincommand.com. I'm with Andy Lehman over at the freedomskillsacademy.com.
Hello.
So, how are you, Andy? How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm good. Not too bad. It's one of them strange days. It's been snowing and we've had sort of big snowfalls, but it's not been cold enough to settle. So it's melted by dinner time and then it's snowed again. It just can't make its mind up whether it's going to be snowy or sunny. What's it like down your way?
We had a light dusting. That's about the extent of it, really. The kids got excited for nothing.
We've had about 3 or 4 inches over the last
we did have nothing like that.
But like this morning, we looked out the window again and I thought the car was covered. Right, and I needed to go out into town, so I thought, I'm going to have to clear it off. But when I went actually to look at the car at 11 o'clock, it was clear. It just melted. It had gone. So strange. So yeah, okay. What was we discussing today then, John?
So the topic of discussion we're going to talk about, the topic for this evening, we're going to be giving you 10 ways which you can make money from a website. Okay. So we're going to do it like a little back-to-back. So I'm going to start off. So number one, probably the obvious one that everyone immediately rushes to, maybe for the wrong reasons. But number one is Adsense and kind of ad networks. Okay. So we've talked about this quite a lot on episode 11, the ad arbitrage episode. So basically, Adsense, it's basically you just, once you get to a certain amount of traffic, you do need to have some. It's worth pointing out, you can't just do this from day one. Once you get to a certain level of traffic, some pretty decent numbers, then you could install Adsense or any of the other networks on there. And that will then start bringing in a little bit of an income stream. I wouldn't get too carried away. It's not the sort of, quick solution to any kind of website income. It does take time to build it up. If you go to episode 11, then we talked about it a lot in there, but it was a slightly different model. We were actually spending money to make more money. So we were spending money on ads and then making more money from AdSense and the other ad networks. So that's kind of number one. Okay. Number one is AdSense.
We made quite a bit of money doing that ourselves, didn't we, actually, in the past? So it is a good...
Oh, yeah, it's very doable.
Very doable. Okay, so number two is selling Kindle Books. Now, obviously, you're probably thinking, well, you don't need a website if you're going to sell Kindle Books because you basically sell it through the Amazon Kindle platform. Mm-hmm. But there's no reason why you can't actually, one, put your books on Amazon Kindle and then advertise them through your website anyway. Secondly, one of the great ways to create a Kindle book itself is if you have got a website, if you've got a blog, is to plan your content. And so that when you create a load of blog posts, that you eventually create something that you can later edit and create into a series of Kindle books. So if it depends on what your website is, if you're niche, but if you were doing something that was to do around sort of the keto diet, cutting down your carbs, and you're into fasting and something like that, if you wrote a load of articles and content with that in mind, you're actually creating, in many ways, individual chapters, which then you can bundle together, create a book, give it a nice new title, stick it on Amazon Kindle, and you've got yourself a product which you can sell. And that is basically all from having your website. Like I say, you can advertise it on your website, but again, you can you just basically create the content and then stick it on Amazon Kindle. And we've talked about this on a couple of episodes, episode 1 and 12, I think.
Yeah.
So that's Kindle Books.
Yeah, that's a good way. I mean, like you say, it's kind of an easy way of publishing a book nowadays, isn't it? Just once you've got the content there, have a list it up on Kindle. They'll sell for you, obviously, the Amazon traffic, but then obviously any traffic you get onto your website, you can also make sales that way as well. Okay, that's good.
Yeah.
Number 2, right. So number 3 is good old affiliate products. So selling affiliate products. Now, there are several ways around doing this, obviously, with a website. You can do, if you've got like a sort of, a generic one, in say like a fairly broad niche. I don't know, say you're a finance blogger or, I don't know, you blog about, writing or anything like that, kind of a broadish niche, then you can drop in the odd affiliate link into a product, into an article, and generate some sales that way. That's fine. However, probably a better way of doing it is to actually build a site completely around one particular finer niche or even one product. So, for example, if you built a site around, I don't know, lawnmowers, okay, you could write articles about tons of different lawnmowers. You could write articles on, what is the best lawnmower under $200? How does X lawnmower compare to Y lawnmower? And the good thing about that is that's already a kind of buyer intent keyword. Okay, they're already looking. They already know they want to buy one of them. Okay, so they're going to search for that term in Google. Your article comes up comparing them both, and then at the bottom you could give a kind of fair assessment of what you think is the best one, and then that could be your affiliate link. So that's a way of making money from affiliate products. That was number 3.
Something just quickly before I get into number 4 is something that we didn't put on the list, which I can see why we didn't put it on the list, because basically it covers every one of these, especially as you're talking about affiliate products, is building an email list.
Yeah.
Building an email list. This covers for basically all of these, what we're going to talk about now, but having an email list is essential, and it is a great place for selling affiliate products. I mean,
Huge.
I got an email from an affiliate network or person who I run his affiliate network offering me the opportunity to sell his $4.99 book, but with the upsells and everything else, it comes to around about, on average per sale, was like $38 or something like that. So, but that was talking about trying to promote it through email. So affiliate marketing is huge.
Yeah, absolutely.
So going on to number 4, the way to make money on a website is to sell courses. Now, this is something that, well, we're both used to, really. I mean, I've worked for a couple of companies that do this specifically. I mean, you've had some experience yourself as well. But your website becomes a central hub for you.
Yeah.
And if you don't have to be an expert in something, but generally, if you are an expert in something, the next stage would be is to create a course around your expertise and your knowledge, and start to host that on your website with a sales page. You'll probably go through, like we said about the email list, give a free sort of giveaway to build an email list, which then eventually you sell your courses to. But if your website is getting quite a bit of traffic and you're an expertise at something, or if you know something that other people don't know, then turn it into a course, PDF, a couple of videos, put it on your website with a sales letter and a pay now button. And basically you've got yourself a product that you can sell. And it's one of those things, if it's digital as well, you can sell it while you're sleeping. So, I mean, even if you're only making, 2 or 3 sales a month, it's happening without you having to do any more work. Once you've set it up, it's on autopilot. So if you can do several courses, even better. Yeah,
it's a really good point. I mean, we've talked about that loads of times before, haven't we? It's one of those sort of create it once, sell it multiple times scenarios, isn't it? I mean, you will have to, some courses, depending on what the content is, you might have to go in and update things every 6 months maybe or something, but it's not exactly a big slog. And there are a load of course platforms we should point out. You don't have to have a website again for this. You could list your expertise on places like Thinkific and Udemy and stuff like that, but you're restricted then. I think you're not restricted, but you're kind of, again, it's their rules, it's their playground. So, Udemy, you're definitely not going to have the pricing flexibility that you would on, your own website, for example, So yeah, pros and cons of both. Okay, that's good. So number 5, which is one we haven't really talked about before, which is selling ad space. So again, a little bit like advertising, or it is the same sort of thing really, but other than kind of like Adsense and Mediavine and this sort of thing, you're actually going to be selling space on your website. Now, the idea behind this model, again, you need traffic, not as much as you might think, because the idea behind this model is you're cutting out the middleman, so you basically sell the space direct to somebody. So let's say, for example, you write a local news blog, or you write a local blog around the town's football team, or something like that. You're going to have a lot of local interest in that, and that's where you could kind of broker deals with local tradesmen, or a local directory, or the local builders, or someone like that. They know that they're getting the people on your website are their target audience. So that's a good way of doing it. You could just basically sell a banner ad, or sell a bit of the title bar or something like that, or even like we talked about on the newsletter, you can actually sell space within newsletters. So yeah, that's number 5.
Well, quickly just touching on to that, I contacted a website the other day, which they wanted, I think it was about $400 for just a headline advert for a week.
Yeah.
That was an advertising space. They had about, I think it was about 6 in a little block, 6 headlines, and I think they rotated them. But over a week, they wanted $400 because they had, I think they had like 1 million hits a day on their pages. So you need, like you say, you need a fair bit of traffic. But I mean, $400 for just a headline. It was probably you're looking at probably like 12 words.
Yeah,
that's how much.
Crazy, isn't it?
Yeah. So I mean, how much a banner ad would be. I would sort of dread to think, but I mean, I do know
thousands probably in that case.
Yeah, I mean, I know as you said, the ad space in the newsletter, they were charging $4,000 for one email broadcast, which is a lot of money. So yeah, so moving on from that one, the next one is create a membership area. Now, this is slightly different to a membership site, but it's the same sort of principle, as in the fact that on your website, you can have a password protected area, which you then charge people to access. This is something that I've been working on for a company just recently. They set up a sales letter, sent an email out, sent people to it, and then people pay. And each week I update this one page, and I send out a new password to those who have paid. And so they pay to access the information on this one website, on this one web page on the website. It kind of falls under the three sort of categories in the 10 list, but this is basically it's just a membership area on your website, not a dedicated membership website itself, but it's a dedicated area. Also, say when your website's your central hub, if you're doing a specific niche, then there's no reason why you can't just have some locked off paid areas on your website.
Is this similar to like Patreon type pages?
No, that's more sort of a membership site.
Okay.
I mean, they are both subscription sort of subscription businesses.
Models, aren't they? Yeah.
Yeah, but this is just it's just like a kind of a bonus area. I suppose in many ways it's like having a paid for Facebook group, if you make
like a paywall in it. You have certain parts of it that are exclusive to Okay. All right, good. So moving on then to number 7. I think this one's a massive opportunity, and I really do. I think people with any kind of blog niche or anything like that can get into this. Number 7 is print on demand. So what do we mean by that? Print on demand is essentially where you hold no inventory at all. Your job is to come up with the designs of said product that you want, whether that be t-shirts, mugs, we've talked about it before, phone cases, posters, stickers. There's so much you can do now, and this is print on demand. So essentially, you come up with a design, and that's it. And then the company who you list in who you're working with, Amazon Merch, Printful, Redbubble, there's loads of them. They'll basically, when you trigger a sale, they'll basically see that as that's their trigger then. So they'll go off, print your design, send it out to the person that's bought it, and then you obviously take a small cut. Now, the good thing with this is you can kind of slot them in anywhere. They're not too serious, they're not going to be worth, people aren't going to be handing over hundreds of dollars. It's simple things, like a t-shirt, a sticker, a phone case, and things like stickers, t-shirts, stuff like that. People do buy them quite kind of spontaneously. They don't really have to think too much about it. So I think that's a really good one. So I think anyone that writes a blog or has a website, you almost certainly will be able to come up with some kind of merchandise. And that's a really good way of doing it. Print on demand.
The good thing about the print on demand business as well is, as you said there, a lot of people buy. They don't feel like they necessarily have to justify buying. Whereas if you're paying for a course and it's $200 or something, you have to sort of think, is it a waste of money? Everybody's got a Liverpool or an Everton mug somewhere tucked away or something like that. There was a guy I saw the other day who I think he's doing some course somewhere, but he was talking about how he's built, could even be a six-figure business just selling mugs. That's his one thing. He doesn't manufacture the mugs. He doesn't, print them or anything or post them. I think he just comes up with the designs and then floods them across the Tinterweb.
Yeah.
And he's making six figures out of it. But everybody has a T-shirt, a phone case. It's just, they're just simple.
I think as well with this one, it's a little bit, controversy often wins in this game with that. And I don't mean that, go out blatantly to offend people, but sometimes you'll find people that sit on the fence don't necessarily win the battle there. With print on demand stuff, you have to kind of be a bit, pick your side and then go for it. That's the kind of advice I would say on that.
Yeah. Excellent. So basically this is kind of echoing number 6. This is create a membership site. So again, it's a subscription based model. But this is basically just a sole full locked off website.
Yeah.
Which you update each month with new content. And as you was mentioned about Patreon, you don't necessarily need to have your own website. You can, in many ways, it's best to have your own website because you control everything. But Patreon, again, is it's kind of like Facebook. But apart from Facebook, you've got yourself a payment processor attached, and you can set certain tiers, which is one thing you can do with your membership site. So with a membership site, you can set you could have let's say you're setting up an ongoing course. It's never ending. You're always learning something new, but you can set different tiers. So someone could probably pay $9.99 a month, or you could have them paying $39.99 a month. But the people who are paying the more get more content. So it could be like a writing course. You could be sort of doing creative writing. The people who pay more get more videos, get more training, or they may get something where you spend time doing like a special webinar for the group of people. But a membership website is great because you can lock it all off. You just have like probably one front sales page, and then anything else that you produce, everything else you're getting paid for. And again, similar to ebooks, digital products, courses, whatever we always talk about, is that if it's in the digital domain, if it's digital, if it's a video, you create the work once and you get paid over and over again. And that's the one thing I love about the internet, because coming from a background where, well, the first one, my dad used to have a corner shop, and then I worked as a joiner. Every time we needed some money, we had to either make something or sell something physical. Or I had to do, if I had to hang a door, I had to hang another door to make 50 quid. But with digital, if it's a membership site, you create a month's worth of content. You can either sell it to 5 people or 5,000 people.
Yeah,
that's that one piece. So that's number 8, creating a membership site.
Just add on that one, point number 8 about the membership site. I think a lot of them. I mean, I've been members of online membership sites before, and I think a lot of it, the content is great. Don't get me wrong; that is an important part of it, like a big part of it. But I'd say another big part, and maybe even equally as big, is the kind of private community that you have sometimes within a membership site, don't you?
Yeah.
Sometimes they'll say like, members only Facebook group, or there might be a, like you say, a forum or something which is exclusive to the members, and that's it. And then you can kind of, cross ideas and exchange ideas and stuff like that with other like-minded individuals that are on exactly the same path as you sometimes, and you might sort of, you can get some great ideas and things like that. So as much as the membership is important, I think it's, as well as it is that kind of tribe. We've talked about tribalism and building a tribe. That kind of aspect as well, I think, sort of adds to it.
People will often pay just to stay in the network.
Yeah,
because they're afraid to lose the network. It's like that, as you say, that inner circle mastermind, because when you
Yeah.
talk to people on the same sort of wavelength, it amplifies your thoughts, and you can often go, oh yeah, and work out things. Where as if you try and talk to your dad over a pint in the pub who has no idea what you're talking about, it's kind of it just falls like
Yeah,
a sack
exactly.
of spuds. But talk to somebody else, and so people, even if they've probably learned everything they need from the actual membership content itself, will probably still carry on paying if they've got access to like-minded people.
Yeah, no, that's really important. Okay, moving on then to number 9, which is one that we've talked about a fair bit on the podcast. We certainly mentioned it in episode 16, which is about retainer contracts, and we also done it recently on another podcast. Can't remember the episode. I think it was one of the later ones, but it's basically freelance services. So offer up your own services on the blog, on your blog or your website. Sometimes just a simple button which says "Work with me" or something like that, or up in the top header or up in the top menu, and on there you could just list what you do. Do you offer some writing services? Do you offer some web design services? Your social media stuff, or you could do perhaps 1 hour consulting. I've done that before, and and certainly, obviously, you've done loads of writing stuff. We've talked about web design stuff, which is big on, again, kind of what we do. But and that often comes from people stumbling across, a blog article or a product that you've done months ago, and then they kind of build up a little bit of a trust, or they get a bit familiar, and then they maybe want some work doing. And how many times has that happened? I mean, quite a bit recently on our own sort of paths when we talk about freelancing. A lot of it's stemmed from perhaps one little thing which we may have done for somebody, which has ended up benefiting us both, because we've been able to sell and outsource. And with the kind of work that we do, it might not be applicable in every aspect, I realize that, but and then you can end up growing and getting some pretty decent freelance work out of it, can't you?
Yeah, and can I just also point out that, as you said, it may not necessarily work for every sort of industry, but if you've got somebody who's creating a website that is, again, going back to the fasting and keto diet niche, you're probably thinking, oh, I've got no sort of services that I can offer. But if you've been writing that kind of information for, say, several months, and you've built your website, and so let's say you've taken, you didn't know anything about WordPress and you've started, people who come to your website may eventually say to you, I love your article. How do I get this? And you could end up saying, well, you want some content, I can write that for you. You could actually still end up writing. It may not be, like you said, you could do probably some consulting. You could probably turn around and charge somebody to set up a website for them, or have a look at their website, or look at their website and tell them where they've gone wrong or what they need to do based on your experience. Because it doesn't. But people sometimes don't understand and realize that they actually, as I said, I spent years working as a joiner. To me, in my head, my trade is joinery, working in the building trade. But I actually know quite a lot of stuff now about writing and WordPress. And that is where I'm getting quite a bit of my freelance work at the moment. And it's probably not even set it up as, I mean, I've just recently written a book for someone as a lead magnet, all because of the fact that I've created my own. I do writing now. That is my writing service, but that's how a lot of it just sort of fell about because of what I did on my website. So there are so many opportunities there to actually freelance, even if it's not necessarily what you're thinking of. You might not have sat there and thought, I'm going to be a writer, I'm going to be a web designer. But when you're doing something, even if it's in a completely strange niche, it could be a website about toads. You might still get some bloke who come along and say, don't suppose you'd write some articles for my website?
Yeah, I ended up getting a consulting job where I basically just went in and sat with a company for, I think it was 2 hours. And just basically I didn't do anything. I basically just talked to them about their social media presence and how they can improve it and stuff like that. And that was based solely on, I think, a website that I built for somebody. Nothing, so completely separate. So yeah, it can happen. So anyway, so that was number 9.
Okay, so number 10. Now, this is a good one. This is a paid newsletter. There's 2 different ways or 3 different ways probably of doing this. Again, this kind of falls under similar to the membership site or membership area. It is a subscription-based business. But generally, a paid newsletter, there's two ways you can do this, really. You can, if you wish, take the payment on the website and then print off a newsletter and post it through the mail, like the old traditional way. People do love to be able to pick things up. They love to be able to sit in an armchair and read it, even if you can have it in a tablet or a phone. People still love tangible things. So you could do that, but there's obviously price and hassle with that. You'll be surprised to know that how many people actually pay for an email newsletter. There are, again, even if you just charge $5 for a 4-page email newsletter, you can still get thousands of people who are willing to pay for that, because it's one of those purchases that you're not going to necessarily break the bank. There has been some statistics to show that like when there's a bad recession or when things are going to, when you really need to cut back on your spending, gym memberships or anything that's over £30-40 or dollars will probably go, but they often hang on to the $5 little dollar subscriptions, because it's,
that won't mind. I'll leave that.
They don't see it as a big expense. They don't see it as a big loss or a big saving, but they often, especially if you're delivering over on the content and they enjoy it. So let's say that you really enjoy that newsletter, you'll kind of carry on paying the £5. So people will pay for these newsletters, and they can be email, or like I say, the other delivery system is actually have it on your website. Password protected maybe, or you just basically stick it on a page with, as you know, a URL which just isn't going to get picked up by Google. And as you've pointed out in the past, if you use Yoast SEO, you can actually stop websites indexing or Google indexing certain pages. So you just email out to your email list to the people on who bought you, paid for your newsletter. This week's edition is out. You can read it as a PDF. You can read it as the email, or you can go to the website. But and that is a good way, because again, it's one of those where you can just charge. I mean, to be fair, there are people who charge $97 a month for some certain newsletters, but you can charge whatever you want. But it's just one of those, you do the work again once.
I like the idea of that. I mean, I like the newsletter model, and I think that, again, it doesn't even need to be a massively flash website either, does it? The website could almost be the core base, and that's about it. And your primary focus then is to get people, the exclusive stuff is on the newsletter. Make sure you sign up for that. It's $5 a month or whatever, and that's where you really, really hone in and, provide the best content. I mean, and again, I'd say, could you imagine? I mean, look how controversial the world is now. Look how divided it is. Pick one side and you will get people that will follow you on that side. We're not going to go down that road, but I mean, if you pick one side politically, if you pick one side, on opinions on stuff, don't sit down the middle. And, that's how you can kind of create, a fair amount of signups, I'd imagine, on that sort of thing.
Polarizing is a powerful thing. You only have to look at certain politicians to see, I sometimes wonder whether politicians actually believe the things they say, which can be very damaging if they're just doing it for popularity and money. But there are certain politicians who will say any kind of crap, knowing full well that it means that they're going to get TV interviews, which they get paid for, and certain jobs. There's some people haven't worked a proper day's job for a long time, based on the fact that they just sprout rubbish. Because of the strength of the sprouting rubbish. So, like you say, you can pick a side, but
we just say don't sprout rubbish in your newsletter. But I know what you're getting at.
That's it. I mean, that's the thing. You will get a fan base of idiots if whatever you choose. But the thing with the paid newsletter, one of the reasons why I like the paid newsletter, and going back to sort of the membership area, this sort of similar things, is that you don't need a huge amount of traffic to possibly earn the same amount as you'd probably get from, say, things like Adsense. Because with Adsense, you probably need to get we've had some success with Adsense.
Thousands of views, don't you?
Yeah, we had hundreds of thousands of views a day at one point, which was generating some nice money. Or you could probably get the same amount from probably like 500 to 1,000 if
subscribers. Core diehard subscribers.
Yeah, people paying you £5. You don't need a lot to be sort of sitting quite comfortably.
Okay, well, I think we'll wrap it up there now. So that was 10 ways in which you can make money from a website. Bit of a mixed bag there, definitely loads to go over. Have a little listen again and then link out. We've got obviously a bit more detail on some of those methods, which we mentioned on previous episodes of the podcast. So anything to add, finally, Andy?
Just that whatever method that you decide to go and use, I mean, they're all very valid. I would suggest that you choose one and focus on that for at least a period of time. Don't bounce between half a dozen, one or two at a time, because some of them are quite complementary. So work on them. But basically, like the other thing is, which we didn't include in the list of 10, which I think covers them all, is to focus on building an email list. Because that is somebody who you can sell your Kindle Books to, your affiliate products to, your courses to, your membership area to, your newsletter.
Kind of fits into the whole lot, doesn't it?
The whole lot, basically. So that is
traffic that you own.
Yeah, so that's basically number 11. That's a bonus one then, really. That's the ultimate.
All right, well, thanks very much for tuning in tonight. I've been John Banks over at sideincommand.com.
And I've been Andy Lehman over at freedomskillsacademy.com. And thank you very much for tuning in. And we look forward to meeting you again next week.
Thanks very much.